some clients have strong ambivalent feelings about a parent figure or a partner or somebody else. Mm-hmm. And how do you facilitate their coming to terms with those mixed feelings?
That's a great question. And I mean, we should just write that one up on the, I don't think I'm going to say it again. So ambivalence is really interesting. You know, we're complex creatures. We can hold, we actually don't usually hold at the same time, but we can flip pretty quickly between one state and another, where in one moment the person is really a saint and in the other place they're the devil incarnate, you know, and we feel really a wide variety of things about the same person. Especially with a parent, you know, parents are human beings and they're inconsistent and can, you know, sometimes be harmful, sometimes be nurturing. So I think part of the practice of constellation work is one of the things that we do, for example, if there's a really difficult parent, because we look transgenerationally, we're able to situate that parent in their context. So you see the parent in relationship to the grandparent, or in relationship to the war, or in relationship to extreme poverty. So you can see now the parent becomes more of a human being, and less of, you know, either an ogre or a saint. And part of the process, I think, of maturing as a human being is to allow your parents to be human. Because that is also how you get to reconcile with your own imperfections and humanity. So there's a lovely book, I'll make a pitch for because I like it so much, by Hunter Beaumont, titled Towards a Spiritual Psychotherapy. And he talks about redeeming our parents, that in the act of really seeing them in the context of their lives, and being able to accept them as human beings, that it redeems them and it redeems us. Because often if we're polarizing other people like that, we're doing that on the inside too. We are either really good or we're really bad. And to get out of that duality into a place where you can really accept the range of the way people are in the world, that we show up as these quixotic creatures. I think that's part of the beauty of this work. It really does put people in a larger context and allows you to see them as human beings. And out of that, I think we can develop some compassion, both for that parent and for ourselves, and for the struggle just to be human beings together. For example, in a situation where somebody has left a partner and is living with a new partner, and they're in the first partner is in the process of closing the legal arrangements or whatever, and it may be a difficult situation. Constellation work can be really helpful, because one of the things constellation work allows us to do is to untangle the hairballs of life. And by that I mean it allows us to start to make distinctions over who are we really angry with, whose depression is this really, you know, this feeling that I'm in, is it mine, is it somebody else's, is what's really going on. So in a case, for example, where there's a partner that's left one partner and is with another one, it can be really helpful not to take the original partner into the new relationship, and to use one of the tools out of constellation work. We use colored mats to help make distinctions between all the complex selves that we have that are in, you know, I have a self in relationship with my new partner, I have a self in relationship with the old partner. Sometimes I might get them confused and bring the old patterns into the new partnership, even if I don't want to. So simply by placing a mat in a corner of the house, or by placing an object to represent the old partner as I'm going through this legal battle, you know, and having my discussions with that person there, by separating in time and space, this relationship from that relationship. It really helps me clarify, if I'm that person who's going through that, what are the patterns I've done with this person, the old partner? How do I bring those in? How do I not want to? Where do I, how can I separate that and make that distinction? And this idea of making distinctions is, I think, a really useful thing. Because, for example, if I look in my mother's eyes and her father died, her beloved father died shortly after I was born, and I see that sorrow, and I see her sadness, I don't know that it's not me, So I grow up feeling like I've caused my mom's sadness, or, I see the sorrow, that I'm somehow responsible for that. In constellation work, we actually physically separate, my mother's sorrow over her father and my relationship with her. So we call it a pull apart. We literally can help people see and feel these distinctions by pulling them apart on the floor, by really clearly representing the differences. There was one case I did, it was a very brief one, where a young woman had a girlfriend, and they'd been riding the subways, and she had gotten off the train even though her girlfriend wanted her to stay with her that day, and had gone home, and the girlfriend had been murdered. And she was really enmeshed, she was entangled with this girlfriend. She'd never really left that scene of, I'm so afraid my girlfriend is angry with me. And all I did was really verbally, I didn't have any props, I just verbally said, see your girlfriend, separate from you. So I actually pulled apart her feelings and thoughts about what that girlfriend would have done, and see your girlfriend, that was her fate. She's lived her life the way it apparently was meant to be, because that's what happened. And so she was able to then really see the girlfriend and say, I'm so sorry, I love you, and I would have given anything. And I agree that this is what happened. And she could imagine that the girlfriend actually held no anger. There was no, when we actually pulled it apart, the fears that she had weren't really real. They were her, imaginings of what might be happening. So it's really possible to do a lot of work in a very simple way, by understanding that oftentimes we need to pull apart something, we need to make a distinction, we need to separate something. Of course, on the other side, sometimes we need to put things back together. The mother and a child, or an aborted child that needs acknowledgement. We need to put things back in. But it's the ability to do that very quickly and fluidly that's part of this work.